Welcome to the Evening Gamer. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Guy. Welcome, everybody.
Episode 67.
Here we are. And my word, what an episode we have for you today. We have got the first impressions of Crimson Desert. I've been putting in the work so I can give you what the fuck it is.
I'm excited to hear this because there's so much going around about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hot off the press. It's been out for a few days now. And yeah, I've got plenty to say on it. I've been putting in the work, much to my missus's reluctance or unhappiness. She sort of watched me absolutely go into gaming zone mode, and she's sort of standing there going, "What about me? Where's the? Do you want to do something?" And I'm like, "I got to do it. This is, I got to do this." So
yeah, damn. I'm just really keen to hear that because I saw it on Xbox on the store, and I was
yes,
like, "Oh, it looks good," but I don't know. I've been seeing these. We'll get into your first impression, so we won't harp on about it too much just right now. But I've been seeing these, like how you can like wrestle slam people or something,
yeah,
RKO them or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
to me, that just seems so out of place.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, yeah.
Like funny,
There's
but destroys the. I don't want to say inertia, but like just the feeling of being an ancient warrior. I guess. Like I don't know. Doesn't seem to
yeah.
fit.
No, I mean it doesn't. It really doesn't. And excuse about my voice. I'm still coming down off this cold. So, I mean, do you want me to get into it? Do you want me to start ripping
Well,
it?
but before we do, I do have some news announcements.
Okay.
It's
All right.
actually been a pretty quiet front on the news for some time in gaming. Aside from like smaller little releases and like small things happening in games, there hasn't been too much. But a few things did kind of pique my interest here. Do you
Yeah.
know there's already a second Switch 2 model coming out?
Wow. That's quick. Feels
Which
quick.
that is very quick. It's in the first year. I don't think it's been out for a year yet.
Yeah, right.
But get this, so it's apparently meant to be more handheld, which I think is where it feels like Nintendo and is on this like arc of just coming back to their handheld where they started.
Yeah.
It's like they went a couple of consoles there. The Wii, that was a huge hit. The Wii was good, but then they had like the Cube. So the Cube, the Wii, and then the Switch One. And the Switch One was meant to be a console, I think, with the ability to be handheld, but the battery life was terrible on the one. Remember? I
Yeah.
don't know if you played much of it off the actual dock, but like the battery did not last at all. Anyway, so they've announced a Switch 2 model, which is set for launch in Europe only
Okay.
to start,
Weird.
which is weird because that's not even their home territory. It's like not even where they're. Like, anyway,
That is
apparently
peculiar.
with like a removable chargeable battery,
Weird.
which is weird because we did away with batteries ages
Mm.
ago. Nothing has a battery in it. It does, but it's inside, right? You just charge it on a cable. Whereas like now, so they're going back to removable chargeable battery, Switch 2 model. That's coming out in Europe. I thought that was huge. That's weird.
Yeah.
What about this? The Assassin's Creed TV show is being set in Rome, 64 AD. Production begins this month in Italy with the release for 2027. Did you know that was coming out?
I didn't. No, I didn't. But yeah, okay. I mean, after the movie, it is clearly a world, and they are diving into gaming IPs at a rate of knots at the moment. So not surprised. Just not sure if Rome was the play though. Like I don't know of all
Yeah.
the worlds that they could tap into. I mean, I feel like Rome. I mean, there's the TV show Rome that was like on HBO. It's a HBO show of yesteryear. Really good show, oddly enough.
Yeah, I
Highly
think I've
rated.
seen that
Mm.
advertised. It does look okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, that just slipped under the radar for me, and I saw it on the news updates today. So that was, I don't know. Hopefully, it's better than the movie.
Mm.
Minecraft launched a new cave diving biome, which is a big update for Minecraft. I know there's a lot of Minecraft gamers out there. So apparently, there's a huge update coming to how you go through caves, which is a massive part of Minecraft. Is like exploring caves and
Okay.
exploring them. You get a lot of your resources from them, so that'll be interesting. Crimson Desert sold 2 million on its first day, and at the price tag of $120, that's a lot of money.
That's a dime.
That is a lot of money. So that's pretty huge. They have 220,000 concurrent players right now, and it's trending at a score of 6.5 out of 10.
Mm.
That was it for Around
Mm.
the Grounds. That's all I
Mate,
have
well, I
for you.
mean, yeah, finishing with Crimson Desert, I'm happy to sort of dive into my little hot take on this. So it's released. I've pumped the hours in, as I've said. And this game, to remind all our listeners, was high on yours and I's, games we're excited for the better part of the last 2 years. Where, based on the game trailers, it had my excitement levels at a bit of a fever pitch. I thought this was going to be of a sort of, GTA kind of almost level event of
Mm.
just a game that comes out of the woodwork and blows everybody's tops off, an Expedition 33 kind of almost quality to it. But unfortunately, that is not the case. And it's amazing how often I feel like we, within sort of people who play video games, get so embroiled in like the hype train and excitement of trailers, and then sort of almost as soon as the review embargo gets relinquished and taken away, we hear the issues that come out, and it turns into an absolute pile on. And I think the pile on for Crimson Desert will continue to roll. I don't know if it'll be as big of a pile on as maybe, let's say, what was it, Cyberpunk was, because that was arguably, a lot of people felt that was a huge bait and switch.
Mm.
You did all these trailers, and then you kind of hid the details of it. There does feel like, from the news I'm looking at, a little bit of sort of hiding of certain information, just to make sure the launch was possibly as successful as it possibly could be. And here's a really big example. So a lot of PC players who bought the game and with sort of their rigs realized the game wouldn't actually work at all on their rigs. And if they used specific Intel Arc graphic hardware, the game wouldn't launch. And so a lot of them have been hitting Crimson Desert and the developers being like, yo, Pearl Abyss, it ain't working, what the hell? And they're responding back saying, please go through our refund process. And so that's
Wow.
millions of players who have just become sort of affected unknowingly so. And of course, why wouldn't you be forthcoming about that? They're almost relying on people to buy the game and maybe not go through the rigmarole of going through a refund process. So that to me is a really sort of disingenuous, kind of almost sneaky behavior. You kind of want to be proactive to your possible consumer base, because all those people who refund it will probably go, well, I'm not going to buy the game later once it does rectify. Like, screw that. But anyway, so the embargo has been lifted. The reviews are coming out, out of the woodwork. There is obviously some in the lead up to the game, and people get early access and they kind of talk a little bit about it, but the reviews have been middling, and that has led the stock for the Pearl Abyss company to nosedive by about 30%. So they're feeling it at the pump, so to speak, as we all are. But yeah, so some of the biggest complaints that are coming out of these reviews, and I do feel their complaints. So one of them is around just the pure controls. The controls are such a critical part of what makes a game. And in this day and age, you'd think wonky, not well thought out controls would be a thing of the past.
Mm.
And this
Yeah.
game just, like it has the controller layout somewhat reminds me a little bit of a mix between Red Dead Redemption 2 and then Breath of the Wild Zelda controls.
Okay. Right.
And like, I'm drawing those comparisons. So with Red Dead, if you double click sprint, it then holds the sprint. And kind of like with Red Dead, you remember with Red Dead and the horse when you first started playing and you were trying, how do I throw a dude on the back of it? And then it kicks you. There was sort of all those kind of components to it. It reminds me a little bit like that. And then Breath of the Wild with some of these skills, excuse me, in like because a lot of the puzzles are built around twisting items, turning them, and they're a little bit
With
wonky, not
the
well thought
yeah,
out.
with the analog. Yeah.
So the controls, they're aware of this, and that's been one of the biggest complaints about it, and they're working on getting it rectified. They're going to do a hot fix. They've sort of came out last night and informed everybody about that. So that's probably one of the biggest complaints. The other biggest complaint is really around just the story. The story itself is just clearly feels like an afterthought, not well thought out, not in any way, shape, or form something that they've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, with the cutscenes, with the writing, with the
Mm.
acting. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But they tend to be the two biggest complaints. And it just is a game where the there's so much packed into it. It's like they've just kind of looked at all the other games out there and gone, we like this, we like that, we like this. Let's put it all together. Let's ram it together without really like thinking, how are they going to work together? Like, is this? It's just like this huge open world game that is like a hodgepodge of all these other games piled on together. And so it is got a little bit of Zelda in sort of the puzzles, as I said before, and up in the
Also, the
sky,
yeah,
that
the sky,
the
and they've got
sky one,
the
yeah.
kite that you can just jump off anything with. It looked
Yeah,
a
yep.
couple of those things look like carbon copies.
Yeah, it could, you could, it's a lift and shift a little bit in very true kind of way. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Dragon's Dogma 2, just in sort of the NPCs and kind of a little bit of the acting of it. Red Dead Redemption 2, as I mentioned, with the horseback riding and sort of the open world kind of element, and how it's visually a really amazing game. Like, and I'm playing it on 5, not even the Pro, the OG one. Hindsight, probably should have done it on a PC, but nonetheless.
You would have had to get a refund.
Exactly. It's got a little bit of AC about it in terms of the fighting style of it, a hack and slashy kind of component of it. Um, but yeah, so like it is just a Frankenstein of all these other games kind of just whacked together in one. As I've played through it, I'm yet to kind of get to a point where I'm like feeling what I've seen in the trailers of riding a dragon, of doing some of these amazing things that got everybody super excited for it. Thus far, I've just kind of been exploring, taking down a few outlaws, sort of commencing building up my village. And, uh, you know, am I enjoying it? Oddly enough, yes, I am now. Now that I've kind of figured out the controls, there's still a bunch of fight scenes with bosses where I'm spitting chips because I've clicked the wrong button, because the button
That'll come
setup is
though.
so.
That's actually a good point because I don't understand games that don't let you do your own button mapping. I don't get it. I don't get it. I remember Dying Light.
Yeah,
Dying Light was a game that you recommended to me, and I played the intro, and I could see I was like, this would be a great game.
it'll be fun. Yeah.
And then I started to try get because naturally, like you want to get better at a game as you go on, and
Mm,
like if it's a combat game, you want to hammer down your combos and start to use them a lot.
yeah.
And that's what makes it fun. Or like, I don't know, if you're
Yeah.
playing Assassin's Creed, you want to get really good at like, the whole parkour element of it, jumping from here to there,
Mm,
swinging around. That makes it fun is when you start to get better at that. And it's kind of what you're saying now. I felt my skill decline in Dying Light because not
mm,
because I couldn't get used to the button mapping, but because it was the opposite. It was counterintuitive for me as to
mm.
how the game should have flowed, and
Yeah.
to not allow me to just change the buttons in the way I want
Yeah.
it's like, this is 2026 now. This is something that games have been doing for like a decade.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
choose
Yeah.
your own layout, no worries. As long as you have all the commands, I don't care what button you press.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then like the Dying Light devs were like, no, we think it works best this way. You're going to do it that way. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I mean, like that's
it's
certainly
weird.
been, this gaming developers' sort of first response was, look, we think with a little bit of time, you'll get into the habit of it. And it's like, yeah, sure, we will. But is there a better way to do it? Yes, 100% there is. Like, to give
Also,
you an
it's yeah.
example,
Go on.
so with the controls, so like, when you hold down R1 and then click, triangle, X, square, that triggers different move sets when you're in combat. So it's like an activation kind of button.
It's
And
like
then
a
on the,
quick. It's like a quick menu combo button. You see it quite often
oh
in combat
yeah,
games, where it's like
yeah,
you hold down
kind of.
RT and then you click. You've bound a special ability to one of those other buttons, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So R1 has that component. Then if you hold down any of the analog buttons, they turn into a quick menu of different types. So you can then switch characters or switch weapons or switch what health sort of quick menu like that. Then you've got on the L1, L2, I think is sort of an archery kind of thing. And the amount of times I'm accidentally firing arrows, because if you hold down one of them, it also does like one of these special moves. Like, it's just, there's a lot going on when you're controlling the controller, and you just get to a point where you're like, you're doing the thing even after you feel like you've got the habit down pat. You're mid fight and you're like, fuck, like I've just done the wrong thing, and like you're getting hiked. Like, it's just, yeah, it's
Well,
very frustrating.
I had this in the latest Doom as well. Not Doom Eternal,
Mm,
but the Dark Ages.
yeah.
Is getting everything right in that in combat in that game is really important because there's a lot going on. It's busy. You need to be precise. And I remember they had this one of these shield moves,
Yeah.
and often I'd end up going to the shield move right
Yeah,
after
yeah,
doing like
yeah,
a
yeah,
punch
yeah.
combo, and you had
I
to
know what you
click
mean, yeah.
RT.
R3 and L3, a hold down on that to trigger a moveset kills me because Crimson Desert has that too, where you hold down left
The analog.
analog,
You should never
and
have to hold down a moving button
nah, I hate it. Yeah, because if you're moving and you're
to
pumping the
select.
controls, so easy to accidentally do it, and then you're
It's
done.
so silly.
Yeah,
A quick
agreed.
menu button should always be a hold down button that doesn't move.
Yeah,
To have a
yeah,
quick menu button as an analog, to me, unless you choose with the other analog, that's the only time it might be okay. But I still think, as a
yeah.
general rule of thumb, it should be a static button
Yeah, 100%. Like,
almost.
so the only things that I think they should bind to an L3 or R3, if you want to bind sprint to it, fair. Okay, I'll take a
Well, that's
sprint
fine. Yeah,
to
I
click in
would.
for a sprint on an R3. I get,
Everyone would
and
prefer that,
then
to be fair.
on an L3, either if there's archery in the game, you get slow mo. Like it gives you that kind of slow mo vibe where things slow down and then you can hit the shot better. I'll take that on an L3. But anything else, you're dreaming. Like you've binded it wrong.
I think also it's like if I can just click it once, like like L3 becomes a toggle button rather than a hold, it's okay. So if I can click it and it does something, that's fine, which is what it does with sprint, right? You click it down once and then you just keep pressing forward and you're sprinting.
Yeah,
It's not like you
yeah.
hold it down the button.
No, yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
I know exactly what you mean. It shouldn't be a hold down move select button either. But also just coming back to the Doom thing, it was like when they made me click that button after the combo, it would rush you towards the enemy, even though you were using it to cue something else. And it's like you're getting me to do something or try and do something that has a different function at a different time, and it's just not working. It's actually getting me killed because
Yeah,
of how poorly button mapped this is.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I just had to
exactly.
stop using that ability
Yeah,
because like it just didn't work.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah. I hear you. I had the same frustrations
Which
with
is
it.
why like mechanics is in our pillars. Like I
Yeah,
actually think button mapping and how janky something is and what you click to make things happen, the commands that you give, is actually such a huge part of gaming. And I
yeah,
don't know why games just don't let us control it. Like there are some people out there that play Claw. Let them play Claw.
yeah. Or
If they want
or
to do it, let them play Claw. Why are you trying to bind them into a two-handed static holds controller system that they don't want to play with?
yeah,
You make the game, right?
yeah. I,
Don't make me choose like how I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean, and I think every gamer out there knows exactly what you mean and fully agrees with you. It is a thing of yesteryear. The fact that games still release without complete autonomy of the player to select how you want to do your controller bindings is an absolute markdown in the pillars for sure.
Did you have anything else on Crimson Desert? Because I think that
Yeah, I do.
okay. Because I think this is
Yeah.
a perfect segue into because we're going to rant today about open world
We are
games
going
at
to
the
rant
end of
today,
this
yeah.
and what we
So,
like
okay,
about them and everything.
just to wrap a bow on it. So, Crimson Desert also has. There's been criticisms about AI art style being in it, but I'm sort of still getting to a bit of a feeling of where I stand with AI, generative AI in video games. I'm not going to talk about that in much detail, but that's another one of the big criticisms coming out of it. But sort of coming back to the story. So the story, there was an article I saw on Reddit that basically an anonymous source who worked on the game said that the entire story was an afterthought. It was rewritten pretty much 3/4 through the development cycle of the game. Whether that's true or not, who cares? It feels right because the story does seem really just all over the shop. And one of the things that I find really funny with the story, so there's a lot of cutscenes in the game, like lots of cutscenes. Every story, start, finish quest has a cutscene involved in it. And I'm at first I was watching these cutscenes and just going like, this is terrible, and it is bad. But the reason why it's bad is like, with cutscenes, sometimes you watch a cutscene and it's like deadpan, where the NPC is just, please go over there and fetch my wife and come back. And you're just like, where's the energy? Where's the enthusiasm?
Just
Is your
write
wife
that in
been captured
text.
by fucking goblins? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Just give that to me
And
in text, man. All
in
good.
this game, it's like the other end of the spectrum. It's like watching an improv group on an opening night who have never acted together act the shit out of everything. It's like it's amazing. So there's
Sounds
one
kind of funny.
example. It is like at first you're just like, what is this? And then after a while you're like, wow, like this is so hokey in hand. Like there's one guy who's like walking around on a limp, and you're bringing back all your like crew who have been scattered amongst the map. And every time they come back, they're like, "Oh my god, what's happened to your leg? Like, sit down, this, that." They're like so over energetic, and you're just like, slow your roll, like
Calm
each of you.
down.
Like, it's so much. Anyway, it's just one of those minor things that you just go like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
So the last thing on this. Is it worth buying right now? Absolutely not. Wait, hold on it, hold the line. The price will drop, I imagine, pretty quickly with this kind of release. They'll fix the controls in the not too distant future. Maybe it has a No Man's Sky cyberpunk revival where they rejig a story and they do something better on it. But as of right now, if you want to play this game and you're a story driven player in an open world setting, this definitely is not the game for you. You will not find some game here that breaks hearts and minds and makes you see the world in a different way, like a Witcher 3, like an RDR2. If you want just a sandbox to get lost in, and I mean lost in with lots of many systems that just feel jammed in there. Like if you're somebody who likes to put every fucking topping on a sandwich and take a big bite, fine. In a gaming analogy, that'd be what this is. But I'm going to continue playing it because I've
I
dropped a
mean, you've
dime
got it
on it.
now. Yeah.
I've got it, and I'll continue to play it just to merely out of curiosity to see where it will go and what this game has in store for me. But as of right now, it's a hold for me. It's a hold.
Fair. There you go. Is it better or worse than you thought after you read? Because last
It's
episode you said,
way
I've heard these.
worse.
Oh, it's
It's
way
way worse.
worse. Oh,
Oh,
no.
wait. Like, wait. From when? Because what I had was I fell into the trap of the fever pitch hype train of seeing those trailers. And in hindsight, looking back, it's like they never released a story trailer. It was all gameplay. That's because that's all it is. It's just gameplay. There's like the story is non-existent. And so I thought that the gameplay was going to be top notch, super fun, really great time to play. And it's basically Breath of the Wild with a whole new coat of paint on it with lots of other mechanics.
I
It's
think
not
that's
what I thought it
insulting to
was.
Breath of the Wild, though, because I think Breath of the Wild is one of the best games of the last 10 years.
It is because the controls are functioning, but if no one would probably say Breath of the Wild has a groundbreaking story. It's
No, seen it
you
before.
know, it's seen it before. It's Zelda.
Yeah.
It's a tried and true method, but the story on this is way worse.
Yeah, right.
But the way in which the game operates, because they've taken the Breath of the Wild like climbing mechanics and like the stamina, it's like, to be fair, I'm actually amazed that this game is not up for lawsuits. How much they've ripped IPs from other games like that. That's how much of it. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's like, because there is precedent with this. With the WB, they put a IP sort of ownership around the way they did the bosses in their Lord of the Rings game. So in their Lord of the Rings game, you basically had orcs that would like go up in the hierarchy of it all,
Yeah,
and it was a really generative, sort of ahead of its time way they did things. And no other game can copy that whole mechanic because they put a block on it, because they were like, we created it, we own it, no one else can use it. And there was really like a lot of games would have benefited from. Assassin's Creed would have been a great game to benefit from that kind of mechanic. But I'm surprised Breath of the Wild doesn't have, or Nintendo have a lock on some of the components within those games. Because if they did, then Crimson Desert would be up for lawsuits.
Well, basically. I also think that's, I also think that's a bit ridiculous.
To have that on it?
That shouldn't be allowed. It's like imagine someone invented the shoe. Just the shoe, not a brand of shoe, but the shoe. And it's just like, no, this is my thing. And be like, what? I'm sorry? Like, you can't just lock something because you came up with it first. You get the benefit of doing it first and it benefiting you. I don't know if you can put a lock on it. I don't agree with that.
I mean, it's an interesting theory. Like, I'm sure lawyers could debate this till the cows come home. I mean, another example would be Pokemon. Like there was another game that came out recently that was sort of a bit of a Pokemon rip, and Nintendo went after it with a bit of venom. There's a lot of examples of it.
See, if you want to lock your Pokemon, that's fine. But like to think that no other company can come up with like animals that you can train and fight against each other is ridiculous. You can't own that.
That's what they're arguing.
That's stupid. That's dumb. I think
Mm.
that's stupid. Like you will forever always be Pokemon. Pokemon will ever be forever be yours. And if someone gets real close to it, like if you see something and you're like, that's a Pikachu, then fair enough. Lawsuit it up. But
I
to
mean,
try and own the
this.
idea of pets fighting against each other and leveling them up, that's so dumb. We would have
It wasn't.
had
It
no
wasn't.
Digimon. We'd
Yeah.
have no Digimon, man.
Well, yeah.
Digimon never would have been a thing.
I'm trying to think of Pal World. That was the name of the game, and like if you play that game, it there is a lot of references to Pokemon. Like there is a lot of sort of vibe about that follows similar suit to Pokemon.
Hmm,
So like whether they've got grounds or not, I don't know. Like it's an interesting topic, maybe one we save for another day. But
maybe.
shall we dive into? So on the back of Crimson Desert, T and I are going to rant to you all about what do we like and what don't we like about open world games.
Well,
T, take it away. What
this
do
might
you go first, my friend?
this might work directly in contradiction of what you just said, but like one of the things I love about RPG, especially open world games, is you're not beholden to the storyline the whole time. Now, what I mean by that is like it's almost like asking myself the question, can I enjoy this game for hours without progressing
Mm,
the story?
yeah,
And if the answer to that question is yes, then I think they've done a good job in terms of making a real immersive open world. Because
yeah,
one game that I really struggled with when it came to this was Ghost of Tsushima. Great storyline, fantastic. In fact, probably all that game had going for it, in my opinion.
mm,
When I tried to explore, there really wasn't much. There was very little between cities. If I had to be very intentional about where I went, why I went there, like it was to go and do one of those bamboo tests or to follow a fox somewhere
yeah,
and do
yeah,
that. It wasn't like an RDR2 or a Breath of the Wild, where it's like I'd find something on the map and I'd be like, I reckon if I go up there, there'll be something there. And there
yeah,
is. There's some guy there that like teaches you, or it's like some mini game where you have to like glide for as long as you possibly can because it's the tallest mountain in the game, right? And then it teleports you back and you get a set amount of rupees. Or in RDR2, it was like you go somewhere and there's a legendary animal there and you
yeah,
got to hunt that legendary animal and that can take like 30 to 40 minutes. And then, you take it back to your trapper and you get a reward and like all that type of stuff. That's
yeah.
what I absolutely froth that with open
Right.
world
Okay.
games.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can
Okay.
sit there for 2-3 hours and not do a single, even a side mission or a main mission and progress the story at all and still enjoy that,
Yeah.
that's what I absolutely like, because I just finished Kazan,
Yeah.
which I will review at some point in time, probably next episode, to be honest, because it's a pretty recent game. But it was very in the space of like very kind of like Souls-ish like kind of in a few ways, but in
Yeah.
others not so much. And it was a fun game, but there were the level designs were very one way,
Linear. Yeah.
linear.
Yeah.
And as much as I liked it, by like the end of the game, you're like, I don't want to just clear out an area right now.
Yeah.
Like just take me to the boss. I want to let's see the storyline. Like I don't want to just kill 50,000 enemies on my way to the next boss fight. I'm actually a bit over that.
Sure.
And that's why I love open world, man, is that you don't have to
Yeah.
do that. You're not beholden to it. You can just, fuck, I'm just going to ride
Yeah.
my horse in one direction
Yeah.
and see
I
what I
mean, like,
find.
I hear you, and like, there's definitely those games that have probably lent more on the side of letting them develop the world in itself of the additional what you can just via exploration find the nooks, the crannies, the this, the that, and like I agree with you. Like on my list of things that I hate about open world games, that are some open world games, is an open world that is essentially empty, where there is a lot of ground to cover with not a lot going on, and it just becomes a monotonous trip through whatever world it can be. Dragon's Dogma at time felt a little bit like that, with a few and far between of what's in there. So like I hear you on that, but it's an interesting point to say. I don't think that then contradicts not having a good story. Like that's basically just having good filler through the journey
Yeah.
of it. When you get back to the story, if the story is quality, it levels up the whole experience to me. Like that's what puts it in a rare air. Like, because any of those games that you look at open world on the top list of the best open world games out there, usually the story is one of the best and really well thought out, developed. They've invested time and energy in the facial captures, in the little moments along the way. And RDR2 for me is probably still to this day one of the biggest standouts in that regard, of just
Yeah.
how well they did every component of that story, the scripting, the music, even just on my list of things that I love about open world games, and RDR2 is the perfect example, although there are other games attempting to sort of take that kind of thing. And I wouldn't say RDR2 was the first to do it. I think other games have done it, but they just did it the best, is the randomly generated in interesting points, locations where unique
Yes.
events occurred, where you could ride down that trail 10, 15 times before, and then on this time, for whatever reason, there is a robbery, a shootout, some gang of cannibals come out of the woodwork, and it just makes it a completely unique experience that, makes it so special. And they clearly took time and energy and thought it through, is one of the things that I really love about that game. And other games have tried to do it, just never quite as good. These
Yeah.
random events that occur on the
And
way
like
from point A to point B.
that's the thing, is like those little extra moments where exactly you're riding somewhere and one of those random events happens. They feel small in the grand scheme of the game and how much effort it takes to add that in. But it's the best +1 ever. Like that's what people talk about, is that like, how good is this game? Like outside, they made something that not everyone is going to find, that only some people will benefit from. And that's exactly what my next point is here, which is like having side missions and the main mission like complement one another, make them worthwhile.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm fighting a main mission hard, it's like I'm just going to go and do some side missions, right?
Yeah.
And the side missions is how I don't know, I level up my build, or I find something cool. And that also means that my experience in the game, just like you've just said there, finding random things because my exploration hours are higher than another gamer's, means that I look different. My run is different. I'm going to get a different ending, you
Mm,
know?
mm.
Like, and what I look like and the experience I have becomes indicative of the time I've spent doing other things, or the time
Yeah.
I've spent finding other things, right? Which is a
Agreed.
huge thing in
Yeah.
gaming, that like, we're not the same here. We can finish the same
Mm.
game, but we're not going to be the same. And if there's like something in there that alters the story and the ending as well, and they complement each other in the side missions, and I can jump between side missions, main missions, and random stuff on the way to build my whole experience of this to be
Yeah.
different to yours, that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, that's 100% what it's all about. And like the blinking and 2 hours have gone by, and you were like, I'm just going to jump on and do one quest, and then it's, oh, just do this, oh, just do that, and you just, the next thing is just tangible. And I agree with you. Like my last one of my sort of top 3 things that I really love about open world games is just a really well done progression tree that is a slow burn. Sometimes like
Yes.
Assassin's Creed either do this really well, and others have done it not so good. But it's like the person you are at the start, where you're a blank kind of slate, and then having kind of a lot of options of you specializing. Are you going to be this kind of player, that kind of player? The ability to respec on the fly if you wanted to then who you are at the end, where it's like your weapons, your loadout, your skills, your armor, your all of it is so different, unique, and it's sort of the things you can do at the end, really kind of, you look at your character, and it's like, I think we've all talked about it, where it's like, where do you leave your character at the end of an open world game? And they're, on top of a bloody hill looking like the absolute biggest boss, kind of girl. It's a nice sort of thing.
100%. Here's something I don't like,
Here we go.
is when 100% of the game isn't possible on the first run through. Hate that. It's like you're walking somewhere and you find something. There's a locked door, right? Or like in Zelda, there would be like these like big rocks or something. It's like, and you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you find out eventually. It's like, no, you can only interact with those when you have the thing that you get at the end. And it's like, that's
Right.
such an abysmal way to keep me trying to play this game after I've played it.
Yeah.
Like, let me play the game when I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Don't try and get me to play some of the game after I've played it, because I guarantee you, by the time I get to the end of the game, I've done the side missions, I'm ready to wrap it up. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And if I do,
hear you,
it's like, if I do, it's got to be an amazing game. And chances are the reason I'll play it again is to play it again, not to do something new.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And like I agree. Like I'm okay with if you put a little bit of blockage and very shortly after you get the tool, you get the
That's
skill.
fine. That's
Like I
part of
don't
it for
mind a
me.
little bit of going back, but if it's at the very end of the game and it's like you've got to do a whole second run through, no, thank you. I'm fine,
Yeah, it's
thanks.
like, oh, you can actually go and unlock all those rocks now and find out what's in the chest. It's like, but I don't
No,
need what's in the
yeah,
chests.
I just beat the final boss. Why would I want that extra item?
You
Like, come on.
yeah, you
Yeah,
should have given that to me when I was there, or as you
yeah,
said, maybe halfway through.
yeah,
If area 1 had
yeah,
something that was only unlocked at area 20, as long as area 20 wasn't in the game, I'd probably go back.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
I'd go
yeah,
back
yeah,
and do them
yeah,
all. Okay, now I've got an extra
yeah,
mission. That's fine. At the
yeah.
end, no,
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 agreed.
no, 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 no. It's not part of the
Okay.
game for me. It's the
No, yeah,
epilogue.
agreed. It is. It is. So the next one for me is needlessly repetitive tasks.
Yeah,
So this
it's
is
a good
where
one.
it's like you meet the NPC and the NPC is like, collect 20 mushrooms for me in the nearby grove, and you're like, all right, like fuck, fine, and like maybe
All right.
it's not 20, maybe it's like 50. And you're like, okay, I'll just go in this grove and I'll find it. And then you find out it's randomly generated. So it's like it's not guaranteed that you'll get the 50 on that first run through. You have to fucking fast travel and then come back and then collect 3 and then fast travel, come back and get maybe 2 more. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Like it breaks the immersion where you're just like, am I here to collect non-existent fucking mushrooms for a non-existent human being and do manual labor in a fucking digital world? Or like, what am I doing here? Like it makes you throw the controller away and go collect your own fucking mushrooms, you AI generated dude. Like grinds your gears so much.
I actually do feel that one a bit, yeah. And
Yeah,
then you
you're
do
like,
it and you get just like 10 rupees and you're like, wow, man.
yeah, I mean, it
Probably
to be
deserve more
honest,
than
like
that.
it kills me to such a point. Those kind of open world games where, like, when you're doing it and you're running around, you're like another mushroom, another mushroom. I honestly have some like out of body experience where I'm like, that whole thing of a we IRL actually living in a digital fucking world and there's an alien in another planet forcing my fucking movement around on like the 4th dimension, going like, then he goes to work and then he comes home and he counts his schmeckles. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Schmeckles.
it makes you have like an
Yeah,
out. It's a weird thing about it. Anyway,
that is true.
my last one, I don't know if you got one more.
I
My
got one more.
last
I got one
one,
more. I got
okay,
one more. I
cool.
got one more.
All right. I'll do mine, you do yours.
Oh,
So
okay.
the last one I had is fetch quests and just repetitive mechanics where it's like basically you land in a game, go to the highest point, survey the highest point, go get all the collectibles, do all the fetch quests, kill the big bad, move on to the next. Like that is the rinse repeat, and it's basically the AC model, and that's why I got
Yeah.
so heavily critical of them, because they would in essence just do a new setting, same exact core gameplay. It was, now you're in Greeks, now you're in Egypt, now you're in Japan, now you're in Rome, and it's climb tower, survey, swan dive off, go do it all again. And you're
Yes.
just like, all right, guys, like we get it. Like just because the fucking architecture is a little bit different this time around doesn't make me want to drop another $100 on doing it all over
It's
again.
actually so true as well. Building out the map has become a task in open world games.
Yeah.
I can name so many off the top of my head. Horizon, Zelda,
Yep.
even Red Dead
Crimson Desert
Redemption,
does it too.
Crimson
Crimson
Desert.
Desert does it
Why
exactly
do
the
I have to
same
just
way.
show me the map? I reckon,
But
actually.
but just fucking do it more creatively. Do what Elden Ring does. I have to find the map to get the vision.
Yes.
Well
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
done.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
new
Yeah.
and different and well thought out. Like,
Yeah.
or fuck, like this. All it would take is just some dude in a room with a whiteboard going, just because this is how every other game has done it and that's what gamers are used to, doesn't mean you can't break the mold
I
and
actually
do it a
think
different
you're
way.
so right. It's, yeah, just let me find the map as I'm entering.
Like, I mean,
Yeah, don't make me
yeah,
go to a
like,
tower, because I found in Horizon it was like I was doing these one task because I tend to try do a task as close to its entirety as possible,
mm,
and then go into. I don't like to like
yeah,
organically do it and then
yeah.
go and finish it at the end. Like
Yeah,
go
yeah,
and do,
yeah.
you know what I
I
mean?
like keeping the linear pathway, because like if I don't like those go to a town, collect all the quests, and then you kind of do them
Ah.
is because you're like, I've lost track of what this has to relate with that one.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. And I remember going to a tower really early on in Horizon, like in the second area,
mm,
that I couldn't climb because I didn't have the thing. And it was like, why? I'm in the map now. Now I'm just running around just
yeah,
this just
lost.
cloudy, foggy map. I have no idea. I know
Yeah,
fast travel. I got to just. Why did you do this? I
yeah,
came here. Just at least let me get up. Make it challenging,
yeah,
fine, but don't make it because oh no, you haven't done that one thing that I, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's and I think
Agreed.
you're
Yeah.
so right. Elden Ring. Just give me the map.
Yeah,
That
it's
yeah,
creative. It's
yeah,
creative because like I loved seeing on Reddit, you'd have those people who've like finished the game and then they're like realize at the very end that they never found a map along the whole way. Somehow they missed talking to the NPCs or whatever it was and finding that one map piece, and they or like following the sites of grace or whatever it was. It's like that's nice, like that's well thought out, and there's
yeah,
so many ways you could do it better and differently. It's just like again, just because this is how it was done in the past, this is how we're going to do it, without really thinking about it.
yeah. My last one was complicated leveling systems, and
Okay.
the only game I can kind of think of that that did this was probably Cyberpunk. Whereas, like for us,
Yeah.
you'd kind of get your experience, and this is pretty common these types of games. You get like I don't know, eventually you get like 3 skill points to spend, right? 4 skills
Mm,
points to spend, or whatever, and then you'd
yeah.
start building out the tree. But like every skill would be like in this particular scenario, you'll be able to do this particular thing, and you're just like, there ain't no way I'm going to think about that during that particular scenario. Why would I
Yeah.
use that upgrade?
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it like my health is plus 10%, or I can dual
Yeah.
weld a weapon. Don't make it that when I'm invisible at night, something can't hear me. Like I'm playing an open world game. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's like there's this build in the game that is so unique that
niche.
only
Yeah,
somebody who's really hunting it out would do it that way. But I mean, Cyberpunk eventually rejigged their entire
it
skill
did.
tree.
Yeah,
They knew they'd mucked that one up.
but like
And
just
I got to be honest, like,
overcomplicating that is just
oh yeah,
faux
Crimson
pas for
Desert's
me.
exactly the same way. Like there's entire skills that I'm just like, I'm never going to do that. Like I don't. Why would I spend any points on that?
Exactly,
It's not. Yeah. Anyway.
exactly. But that was good fun. I love a good
Mm.
rant. We haven't done a rant in a while.
We haven't done a rant in a while, yes, and I'm keen to hear, listeners, dear listeners, if you have played Crimson Desert, what's your opinions of it? I think it's going to be one of these games that are really going to sort of divide people and go,
I
they either
agree.
love it or they hate it. And if you are one of those people who love it, and you'll probably say, I love it because it's a sandbox and I can do all these various things, just ask yourself the question of going, those games that are in the top echelon of open world, why are they there? Many of them are because they've got fantastic stories,
Yeah.
and only probably a very few number of them who are in that rare areas because the mechanics are so fantastic and well done, a la, Zelda.
Mm.
But the mechanics in this game are not quite that, and you can draw very clear comparisons from a lot of other games.
Yeah, if you've been playing Crimson Desert like Guy, I want to hear from you 100%.
Yeah, let us know.
What's doing on that game? Info at theeveningame.com.au. Email us.
Instagram, hit us up, wherever you want to hit us up, let us know.
But most importantly, don't be an NPC.
Keep leveling up, everybody. All the
Thanks,
best.
everyone.